Come follow us
on our journey to get a low-budget
DIY
feature film from script
to screen and beyond.
Nobody knows who we are.
Look at yourselves. Realistically, nobody's going to give you that money. Nobody. You don't know who the fuck you are. It's a complete risk. You are unknown.
This is our first feature film, something we're going to do together. You're going to get it warts and all.
For now, you're just some pair of idiots like everyone else.
Never wait for permission. You just have to start.
Give yourself something impossible to do, and then just find the bloody way of making that thing happen.
This is DIY Cinema Cult.
Hello, darling. How are you?
Hello, lovely. How are you doing?
I'm all right. How's things? You're looking a bit frazzled and mad.
Yeah, frazzled and mad. I think the thing is that you're probably the first person I've spoken to today, apart from the kids this morning, telling them breakfast. So seeing you just now, I realised that weird feeling of like answering the door in your slippers and your pants.
Yeah.
A little bit. How about you, mate? How's it going?
I'm okay, yeah, I'm okay. But I'm quite excited. We've got an exciting episode today because we've got our two lead actors on The Old Man popping in to have a little chat with us. We've got Richard Glover and we've got Jonathan Broke. Have a little chat with them about their careers thus far, their experiences in filmmaking and comedy and everything besides, really.
Fabulous.
But yeah, so how's the doc looking, mister?
Well, yeah, it's getting there. We are a little bit long still, and we've had some editorial shifts, should we say, in the past kind of week.
Yeah.
So probably a bit late in the day to be shifting your editorial strategies when you've got 2 weeks and 2 days till you're actually going to show people the cut.
Yeah.
But we're getting somewhere. Certainly the film feels like it's kind of getting closer, although I'm absolutely certain that there'll be a lot of work done after the screenings. The screenings will be an interesting experience, throwing ourselves right into the deep end, showing it to some of the people who are in the film. And I think, if I can get through these couple of screenings, then I can get through anything, because this is going to be an audience who are going to know the subject and who are going to go, why haven't you mentioned this? And why have you not done this? So a little bit scary, hence the hair literally standing on end at the moment. And but well,
at least you're going into it, I suppose, with it's a work in progress screening that people are going in knowing that it's not finished film.
Absolutely. I mean, I think the thing is that, as you know, when you show something work in progress, you kind of hope people understand what that means. And some people will go, oh yeah, I can see you're going to change this bit and you're going to add this bit. But other people will kind of think that this is exactly your intention, that throughout that you've decided that every frame should be as it currently is. But what can you do? This is the way I've discovered myself to be in, and we've managed to pull off this fantastic exhibition as well, which is an amazing thing in itself, down in Bristol. So the whole thing will be hopefully a kind of cultural event that includes the film screening to a small audience, rather than just everything being about the film screening. Because, there's going to be parties and things involved as well. So I hope you're coming down to those parties, Mark, and coming to the screening.
I really, really want to. I'm so broke at the moment. It's ridiculous, but I will make every effort. I of course want to be there 100%. So let me see what I can do. Let me see what I can muscle up. What have you got? What are you drinking this evening? Then you mentioned that you've gone off the gin.
Well, I wouldn't say it's gone off the gin, but because obviously I'm in the studio where, let's just say, well, really the studio is sort of a storeroom at the moment, and it's also got my computer and everything in it. But the house, we're not living there, so I've literally raided the top of the cupboard, and what I found at the top of the cupboard was, interestingly, the original Angostura bitters.
Ooh, I bought some new today, actually. I went out and bought all the bits again.
Did you?
Today. Yeah.
This is the original one that we had from the very, very first episode of DIY Cinema Cult. So I've got that. I've got the
27 episodes. What? Oh, you got
the original Nolly Pratt. But then, sadly, I couldn't find any gin.
No gin.
So in the end, I've just got a bottle of cheap Riesling white wine that someone gave me as a present this Christmas. So sadly, that's me. And I'm going to be drinking it in this mug as well.
Nice camping mug.
But you've got everything. You've got the full kit and caboodle.
I got all my bits. Look, there's it's a bit of a dirty martini today. I put too much bitters in, left the bitters in.
Oh, look at that.
But it's very nice.
Oh. You having a
wow.
It made you go cross-eyed.
Yeah. Oh, hang on. We've got Richard waiting.
Oh, someone's coming in.
Our first guest. Here he is. Let's have him in.
Here he is. Your name's not down, you're not coming in.
You are listening to the debut feature film podcast. This is DIY Cinema Cult.
Calling Richard Glover.
Hello.
Richard, how you doing?
How do you do?
Very well.
Look, I just fixed me one of these, your tradition. I haven't even had any yet. I had a smell, and it made me go, oh.
Have you made actual martini? You've made gin martini?
We have vermouth.
Amazing. There you go.
Vermouth.
Angie, so she swirled it around the glass, then threw it in the sink, which broke my heart. Throwing away booze.
Yeah.
But then put tons of gin in it, and can you see it says a little twist of lemon? Wine?
Yes, beautiful.
I even spent a small fortune on bitters.
Me too. I did that today. We've got Jonathan. We've got Jonathan coming in as well.
Oh, right. Good stuff.
Ladies and gentlemen, this is Mr. Jonathan Broke.
Hello.
Hello. How are you doing?
We're holding up bottles of bitters. Go on.
All right.
Holding up bottles of bitters.
Cheers, everyone. Cheers.
Oh, you did it. Yes. So what do we do with these?
We just hold them up to the camera.
Oh, yes. Sponsored by Angostura.
And mine is actually, I was just saying to Mark, mine is actually the very original bottle that we've had since the first episode of DIY Cinema Cult. So, being a kind of slightly kind of damp and sort of muddy in its appearance. It's
very authentic
of usage. Sadly.
Just to give you a bit of background, guys, one of the ideas behind the podcast was me and Aaron became quite obsessed about Louis Buñuel, the famous kind of film director, and his autobiography, which was quite a stunning book. If you ever get to read it, it's called My Last Breath.
My Last Breath. Yeah,
My Last Breath.
Two translations. I think it's My Last Words is one of them.
Yeah.
And My Last Breath is another one. Yeah.
And in it, he spends many pages talking about his love of drinking. The way he used to work was he used to write in the afternoon. Then him and his writing partner used to have a break. They used to go their separate ways. They used to go to separate bars, have a drink. And he's always used to insist on having London gin martini. And then he'd come back to his writing partner, and then they kind of settle the settle the day and kind of sort out what they've been writing and what's good, what's bad, and kind of
because he believed that what it did was that it created a reverie. I love this word, a reverie, which is a kind of I don't know what it is actually in real life, but we like to kind of ponder the idea that it's a sort of artistic door opening, a little bit like kind of Aldous Huxley. We thought there's something kind of marvelous that we would induce our own reveries during each DIY Cinema Cult podcast, and we've kind of slipped over the years from being purists, haven't we, where it had to be the correct ingredients, to me this week actually just having a cheap bottle of
Christmas
wine.
Christmas
wine. But it's great that you two are here with
really
in full swing.
We've brought it back, and I've gone full proper martini, so in honor of you guys coming on, so it's
marvelous.
I'm very strict again.
Can you just quickly talk me through what I have to do with this Angostura?
Well, the way I do it is I do with like the vermouth, I put it into a mixer, but with an ice cube, do the vermouth, then tip it out. Then I do the bitters on an ice cube and then remove it and then put the gin in. So maybe if you just put like a drop in your glass.
Just dash it, because we have ice cubes, but you have to go out the front door and round the back.
Oh, don't.
And down into the cellar.
And into the neighbours.
You're not willing to do that for your pub?
Into the neighbour's kitchen, into the neighbour's fridge.
And then I have to make love to her. There you go. I put 3 drops in. Is that right?
Oh my God, you've
That's
overdone
fine.
it now.
Oh no! Am I going to go mad?
Double revenue.
Too much reverie.
You are listening to the debut feature film podcast. This is DIY Cinema Cult.
So guys, how are you doing? I haven't seen you since the shoot, right?
Wow.
Oh,
Yeah, how are you both doing?
I'm doing well.
Yeah.
I've just had my first sip of this, and I'm drinking gin. I'm drinking gin with some quite floral notes, but yeah, it's warming. No, I'm really well, thank you. I went I had some stuff going on, and then I went into rehearsals for a show, which I've been doing on a Thursday through Saturday in our theatre, so that's been kind of fun.
Nice.
And yeah, that's sort of it.
Your own theatre?
Well, I mean, it's the theatre that belongs to the Free Association Company. So yeah.
Isn't it nice to be back in a real place with real people in front of you, laughing, giggling, working off other actors? Because I guess not so long ago was the first time you'd have been able to do that, right? Or
yeah, we sort of dabbled with it, and because there was obviously sort of a period of sort of in-betweenness during the pandemic, and I remember doing a show at Battersea Arts Centre where everyone was wearing masks, everyone was sitting about 15 metres from the stage and in their bubbles, so in sort of
Oh wow,
basically.
yeah.
And it was a comedy show, it was a live comedy show, and I remember just not having a clue as to whether anyone was receiving it or not, because you just got no real feedback. You just got a lot of bodies in the room, and none of them are that comfortable because of the restrictions. And I just remember, it was tough. It was hard work. I remember
seeing the odd pair of shoulders slightly go up and down. You're thinking, I think they're laughing, aren't they?
That's just that would have just been magic, but unfortunately it was quite dark. So
yeah. Not even the shoulders. It must have been just like being in Chernobyl or something.
It was it was like we're just sort of performing to a bunch of mannequins. I think everyone had a strange night, but we could all say we did it.
Comedy in those conditions must be very difficult.
Yeah, because you just cold dead eyes and you don't know whether they're going.
Yeah.
They should give them masks with a big smile on the front at least, so at least you can kind of fool yourself maybe.
Aren't they even more sinister though when they kind of they gave it to, flight attendants and stuff, and they were just kind of smile, and you're thinking not only may you be terrified of flying and you've got this person with a flake kind of smile like that, at the same time you kind of have no idea what her real expression is underneath, which could be a grimace. So Mark gave me a sneak peek of something the other day with you two guys. I'm pretty sure he won't be sharing it anywhere else, so I feel uber privileged to see anything, but I was mesmerized. I thought it just looked like a proper movie. You two sitting in a car, you two in a car, your conversation, the kind of banter, the kind of playing off between you. I thought it looked like a proper movie, guys. I'm so excited to see the thing proper, as it were.
Yeah, I haven't shared anything with you guys.
No.
I've basically just done. I've started just piecing some bits together, and it does cut together wonderfully. And what is the biggest joy is the pair of you together are just working so well within the scenes, and it's looking fantastic. In the scenes, you feel like brothers, just the play off, the way you play off one another, and the way you kind of behave, your behavior, and the comedy and the nature in the scenes just feels really good. So I'm excited to show you guys.
Well, I can't wait. And first of all, I miss it terribly. It was such an amazing week, and it was so lovely to work with Jonathan. Is he there?
Yeah.
But it really was. It just felt really effortless and flow. And I don't want to jump the gun and jinx it or anything like that. But think, oh well, it didn't look like that. You know how insecure people can be. Me, it just felt really lovely, and I really enjoyed bouncing off Jonathan immensely.
It was lovely. And what I kind of really liked about it, like, obviously Jonathan came in to the film very, very late, and like I said to you before, Jonathan, how much I appreciate like your work, your kind of effort on that, because it must have been so hard coming to something so late while it was almost just we were about to shoot. But and we'll probably get to that a little bit later. But what I thought worked really well is because obviously you guys, you come from slightly, your careers are slightly, there's differences, there's similarities. Both of you have worked a lot in improv, which is where you met before, which is the thing I loved about when we got Jonathan on board. These guys knew each other from before anyway, so they were kind of aware of each other.
Yeah.
As I understand it, you'd both been in improv groups, and then you'd both been at Edinburgh together a few years back. Is that right?
I haven't done improv as such, but I've worked with a guy, Phil Whelans, who does lots of. We were all part of like an extended family of sketch comedy, and
okay.
Like I think it was 2010 or 2008. We all did Edinburgh, and we were all kicking around together and drinking.
Yeah, it was a sort of time about 14 years ago, wasn't there, when we were all sort of at large at about the same time. And we would have looked up to you guys massively because we were fairly new on the scene at that time, and you guys had been doing loads. And I told you anyway that I'd watched your Ewan and Thingy videos about 300 times because I loved them. So yeah, just sort of I was so thrilled when I found out that you were the brother, and and just to echo what you've said, I've missed everyone a lot since this film, like that. And you might want to come to this and maybe later on or whatever, but the family that you created in that crazy old copper mine in the Lake District for that intense week in which everyone was just going all hands on deck. Everyone was just like, yeah, we're going to make it happen. We're going to lug all that stuff up to the top of the hill. You guys, you and Rami staying up till the wee hours, just rejigging, replanning, just all of that stuff was so special. And I think you come back from something like that and you come back to civilian life, and it's quite tricky actually. Not as fun.
It was a lovely intense week, and I'd had so much. I think I'd mentioned to Aaron before, so much anxiety for months and months leading up to it, because I just didn't know how it was going to pan out. And of course, the thing I wasn't even thinking about, and which I should have been more sure of, was the fact that once you bring really brilliant people together, just magical things can happen, and everyone puts their own effort in, brings their own humor and their own good nature to things, and everyone can make things work. It's a group effort, it's a joint effort. It's like you were saying before, Aaron, about you've got to find your crew and your little group, your little tribe of people in order to get these things working. So it's lovely to hear that, Jonathan, because that's just exactly what we needed to get it done, because it wasn't an easy shoot. We didn't have a lot of anything. We had the cottage, and that was, we didn't have much money or anything like that, so we were really depending on the loveliness of the people that we had there, and luckily we had lovely people. And
I mean, it was gently relentless, but then obviously, as I've said many times, the actors are a bit like the children. You're the grown-ups, because like you said, you and Rami were staying up late and rejigging stuff whilst we got a rest, but it was relentless, but it was a hell of an experience. It's like, to get the chance to do this and do as much as that was an amazing learning curve. But also, yes, it felt really easy to all muck in together. It was really like there were no knobs, as it were. Sometimes you get on a rare occasion you get knobs on set.
Usually there's at least one on a set. Usually there's just at least one.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, and but it was just gorgeous. This gin's really working. I love it. I was thinking, am I sipping it too fast? Because I'm not saying you sip.
Oh no, it's all sounding great. I mean, it's all fine. You actually had what you described it as a family, Jonathan. You actually had all generations there as well, didn't you? As well, so you had a mascot just to kind of really make that family feel kind of.
We did. We had Jude. Yeah, we had a little toddler. So it's just that was another thing that was causing me anxiety. I was like, how am I going to do this with? It's a bit like the Dogma '95, the Danish filmmakers. You had these kind of strict rules in which you should make films. You have to make the director should not be credited. You should only use, diegetic sound. You should only use handheld camera. They should have written in, you should always have a 2-year-old on set at all times. It's like an obstruction, a creative obstruction. But actually, he was great. Jude was great. He kind of thankfully was very well behaved, and ended up being a bit of entertainment at the end of the night when we were at dinner time, So yeah,
there was just that running into the room, wasn't there, when Jude was watching some sort of TV show for children, and it was like, we're gonna have to be very quiet now, Jude, or like this is quiet time now. Whilst we were doing a shot in the next door room, a sort of meaningful with some sort of Peppa Pig equivalent going on.
But luckily that cottage, because it was an old stone cottage, the walls were so thick that luckily we couldn't hear Jude squawking every now. I mean, we could actually every now and again, and we'd have to go in, and it is horrible having to tell your wife and kid, please just be quiet, just please be quiet. But can
you also do the makeup, and can you also
I could also cook the dinner
as well?
Poor Debbie. I do remember going in sometimes when it was very stressful, going into the room and seeing them both there, and they'd be like lying on the sofa watching CBeebies, and I'd kind of be like, half of me would be like, I want to stay in this room and kind of hide. Can I hide in here? And just let Rami take over and make the film instead. But no, it kind of worked. It kind of did. It was stressful and a bit manic, but it kind of did work perfectly, actually. When I think back at it, and we get to do it all again soon. In a couple of months, we get to kind of get together and shoot the London stuff.
Because the coat that I use in it, and it's got a little. I was going to repair it, and it's dirty. I was going to wash it, and then we used it on set, and it's my only kind of smart coat. Everything else is falling apart, so I go out with it thinking I should wash this now. I look like a tramp. But I've got
wash it.
Sheen on it now.
It's shiny elbow.
Slightly shiny because it's gone a little bit long.
Well,
stands up on its own.
I mean, it's trampy. Last night I went to a friend of mine, James Wren, does this lovely film festival called the Unrestricted View Festival, and he had his last night, and we watched. I went to the cinema on Upper Street and watched other films, and afterwards we went to the pub opposite, and I really looked like a hobo. But I was thinking, well, this is a clever ploy, because maybe I look like a really, really successful actor because I'm so successful I don't have to make an effort now. And that's and I thought maybe I'm bluffing, but
I've had that thought before when I've had like holes in my jeans and stuff, or shoes, and I thought actually this is actually probably how billionaires dress. They don't have to give a fuck anymore. They're like, I don't care.
That's how I plan to dress.
Yeah.
DIY Cinema Club.
Talk to you guys about your experience of sort of other film stuff and short films, and working kind of in, I suppose, a DIY fashion. Have you done any other projects before where it's been, I guess, DIY in its kind of attitude, as in, no big production company behind it, or people kind of making something for themselves? What experiences have you had of that kind of thing before?
My very first experience out of drama school back in 2004 was to make a Danny Dyer football movie called The Other Half, and it was completely rogue. It was totally rogue. I think what had happened is the writer had lied to Vinnie Jones saying we've got Danny Dyer on board, and then lied to Danny Dyer and said we've got Vinnie Jones. Therefore got them both on board.
Wow.
And then we went to Portugal with no permits, and I guess we filmed this movie just really on the fly, and and we lived in all sorts of random places. Once we lived in a yoga retreat, and that was really strange because I think it was the only place we could all stay at that point. And I do remember that Danny Dyer himself didn't particularly like that yoga retreat. But it was it was really fascinating film, and shot for sort of almost nothing with a huge amount of will. But what was different about that film in comparison to this one, and not to speak ill of it, but I think everyone in the crew ran out of gas after about, 4 weeks. And I think the whole shoot was about 7 weeks.
Oh, wow.
7 or 8 weeks. And I don't think there was much money changing hands. It certainly wasn't any for me. And I get the feeling that people just started to get pretty upset. And so it was really fascinating and brilliant, and brilliantly done and brilliantly engineered by the people who made it happen. But the cold reality, I think, of that started to hit towards the end of it, which is that this is very difficult without collective will.
What about you, Richard? What was your sort of any experiences of things on a kind of on the hoof, or I guess low budget at least?
Yeah, there was a short film we did called The Monster, written and directed by my friend Bob Pike, and it was quite fun. I got to be the lead in it, and that's always, you know, lovely practice to get to do that. So again, quite relentless, and it was a sort of tricky set. They managed to get quite a well-known actress to do it, and I don't think she was very happy to do it when she realised what it was. I mean, it was really good. I think it won awards and things, but she was sort of quite hard work, because I think she was a bit pissed off. So that was really interesting to have to, you know, because it was fairly small. There was a bit of a budget, but to G everyone on. So you're playing. You've got a few hats on. You're not just sort of being the lead, but you're trying to keep morale up for everyone. And you can see that she's pissed off, so she's dragging other people down, and then you've got to lift everyone up and do. And so that was really interesting in a small crew to have to wear all these different hats. And but I did enjoy that. And then when I went on to do Into the Woods, the director did say at the end of that, he was like, "Oh, Richard, you were so lovely on set, because there were a lot of big egos there, and you just handled yourself really well." And I was flattered, and I'm delighted that I ended up like that I didn't end up sort of a grumpy old misery, because again, you're a cog in the machine, and you know, a sort of highly cosseted and powdered one. But that everyone mucks in and picks each other up, you know, like we did in this film. And everyone mucks in together, and you know you're all in it together. No one's feeling more elevated or lower than anyone else. It's all in it together. That for me is a really important part of any.
Yeah, what I thought was lovely about Jonathan, you coming on board, is you were coming from a very live comedy background. And I felt like on set, kind of just created this atmosphere that was quite open. Felt like you and Rich felt quite free in the fact you had this kind of history with each other, or you kind of knew each other. Bringing you on board actually brought that comedic improv aspect back into the script and the shooting of the film.
Yeah, I mean, when I read the script, it was funny. So it was a no-brainer. It was like, it's funny. So yeah, and so I felt that I fitted. You know, from that point of view, I was like, oh, I'll fit with that, because I think it's so funny. I love the character. I love the character of Drew. I love the fact that he's trying to solve his brother's problems, but basically has more of his own. And I think I find that a very funny role to play. And then, as with improvisation, it's actually very difficult to improvise if you have a script, because improvisation is a different part of the brain. It's kind of a brain where you're not really using a script. You're actually playing with what you don't know and allowing that to be. So what really the fun and the improv that comes around the script is due to the relationship with Rich, which is just really immediate. It's like we have a really immediate shared language of understanding when it comes to just play. And that seems to be like what we immediately had. So it was like just loads and loads of fun to do.
Coming from a background of live comedy, improvisation, group work, is that, you know, you're trained in that way. Your whole sensibility is about openness and inclusion and working with teams and bouncing off people. Because sometimes you can find that actors who are more dramatically inclined might be in their own bubble and might be acting in their own, they'll be doing their character and their view of a scene, and it might knock up against other people's interpretation of that scene. Whereas coming from an improv background, you're all about, right? I mean, I've never done improv, but I have worked a lot with people who've done improv before in the past. And it is a lot about keeping the ball in the air, right? It's a lot to do with that.
Yeah, it's about the product and it's not about you. It's about the team. And I think, so if you've got a great teammate and you can play, then you're making the product all the time, and that's fun. And it's not about, you know, you and your performance and your ego and how you're coming across. It's actually about, are you just creating the feeling that you want to create in that moment together, and can you push it a bit more, and can you prod a few more bits? And and having that
trust with someone else when you know you've got each other's back. There's no one sort of trying to outdo, or like you say, slightly solipsistic, just sort of, this is me, it's my thing, I'm a method actor and blah blah blah. It's that lovely giving thing, because and that brings you lots of happiness when you're enabling and facilitating that thing, and then you get that back, and it's just really lovely. I mean, because I've never hung out with Jonathan half as much as we did, Jonathan, doing this, and we just were laughing on set and afterwards, and just in our downtime. It was just so lovely, and that's sort of just carried on, and we do scenes. We're just laughing all the time, and Jonathan's hilarious, so posh.
I haven't laughed that much in ages, and I felt like we both regressed to being little 10-year-olds who were running around having a great time whilst, all the adults, as you say, did all the work. And then we were just doing mess up and being silly. It was great.
But I did notice in between running your lines and doing takes, there was this, you were kind of mucking about with each other in a very kind of sibling way. You were kind of teasing each other, mucking about, doing silly voices, having a go at each other. So you kind of kept, again, that kind of ball in the air. You kind of kept that feeling live between you, of this feeling that you're brothers, that you are, I thought it was brilliant. I loved the kind of the atmosphere between the two of you.
I made the fatal mistake of when asked the question, are you going to be okay to drive the car whilst we're filming, to sort of blurting out to try and ensure the process. I went, well, yeah, I've actually done some advanced driving at Brands Hatch, which of course was, to Rich, was like just the best thing ever, because then whatever happened after that, it was like he would tell people, he's done some training. Like it became more and more embarrassing.
It's all right, he's trained. He's trained. Okay. I'm not trained. Just Brands Hatch. No, he's trained.
I was so desperate to sort of prove that it was going to be okay that I ended up, embarrassing myself. But there you go.
Very good fun to mock you.
Sorry. Whole time.
I'm kind of interested from somebody who, obviously, I've read the script with Mark and I've seen the little edit that he's done. I'm interested in kind of working in, I suppose, somewhat extreme conditions, as in you're out on the top of a bloody mountain, as mountainous as a mountain can get in our country, at least. What's the experience of like trying to hold your dramatic focus, hold your kind of your intention or reaction to each other when you're kind of on the top of a hill and you haven't got all of the sort of, I guess, the protections and the kind of the nicenesses you might have on a kind of fancy set? How do you keep that focus going when you're on top of a beast like that?
And you just spent the last 2.5 hours climbing up it as well, carrying a camera and some sound kit.
Well, that was actually almost made it even better, even easier, because that was such a sort of team building exercise. We sort of bonded everyone together. We were all in it together and taking turns to carry stuff. And when we all got up there, we were just definitely all lads together, we didn't take any ladies up. That's the only reason. I would have taken Ariana Grande up. I'll get onto that later. But yeah, so actually getting to the top was really it's just lovely, because we're talking about what a lovely crew, and when you feel safe like that, when you don't feel sort of embarrassed, because you are stood in the middle doing the thing and everyone's standing around hoping that you don't fuck it up. So there's that stress, but when everyone's on side, that's lovely. So getting up the mountain and we'd all done this mad thing, carrying the cameras. I like, Rami, and I keep calling him the different vowel. Rami, Rami,
yeah. Yeah. Oh my God.
Own challenges with vowels, so don't worry.
One of the other things that would happen is that, as you say, like keeping concentration, we were doing the very meaningful scene in which we start to scatter the ashes at the top of the mountain. And of course, the general public are not precluded from being there. We're just sort of hopeful that they're going to see what's happening and keep their distance for a few minutes whilst we do it. But obviously some people they've hiked up there and they're also of the opinion that we have as much right to be here as anyone else, especially you lot making a thing. And so one guy came into the middle of shot at one point and went, "Can you move that bag, please? I'm taking a photo." And like, and it was like we would just you kind of just have to bite your lip, because you're like, yeah, I guess that's fair. This is really frustrating because we've just brewers ash all over the place or whatever that stuff is.
It could have been a good moment for the film if you could have somehow caught that. As you spread the ashes, somebody literally did come and say that to you.
Yeah. Do you want to be in the film? Yeah. Do you want to be in the film? You're hilarious. Yeah, get him involved. And there was some other guy you said. I mean, there was lots of people. At the top of that
the guy on the way down who was like, not on the way down, later on, he was like, he came to Rich and I, and he was like, "What's the film about?" And Rich went, "Right, well, it's about two brothers who are burying, that were scattering their dad's ashes, and the dad was a bit of a dick. He didn't like me, he did like him." And the guy just paused for a moment, and he went, "All right, did you know him in real life?" At which point, neither of us knew really what to say.
No, didn't he say? Didn't he say? Did you know him personally? Did you know him personally? Right. Oh God, that must have been a baffling moment.
They thought you were making a documentary.
Yeah, they just did not get it.
Well, I'm very proud of you, and from a distance. So I was probably the knob that you were missing on the because I couldn't be there as a sort of, but I was morally cheering you all on from a distance, and
from your Scandinavian house with your Scandinavian hair.
But yeah, sadly, I've been very busy with a film I'm making, documentary I'm making. But I said to Mark how proud of you all I was, and when I saw the photos that were posted up, and and I know Rami very well. Me and Mark both used to work with Rami. It did look like it was a proper little family, a proper little crew that had managed to pull something amazing out of the bag. So high fives to you guys, frankly.
Thank you. Yeah,
that did come off the back of an amazing script.
Yes.
And Aaron, you were like one of those good, honest friends. And Rumi was as well. Wasn't he?
Romy,
yeah. His name right eventually.
Because you'd written the script and you'd handed it, bravely to people who'd given you some feedback and going, "This is good, that's not so good. This is good, that's not so good." And that, when I do that, I'm injured and have to stop for 10 years. But you had this lovely feedback, clearly, and really good advice. And so when we got to see the script, it was brilliant. Yeah.
Well, it was
Mark and I have kind of worked on enough of each other's projects over the years to be able to take each other's full criticism at kind of, and this is another thing about having people that you got no ego with, as in working with people you got no ego with, as in just give it to me straight, because frankly I'd much prefer your honest opinion on things than someone to kind of pad around and bullshit me on something. So we've had many conversations about both of our projects and all of our projects, and
it felt invaluable as well. Especially I really appreciated the kind of work we put into the script, particularly when there's always the point where you think it's kind of, I think it's maybe finished, and then we think, well, I'm about to show it to Rich. Okay, so before we show it to Rich, I'm going to do another quick pass and just work it. I really appreciated how much effort we'd stuck into the script when we had that horrible moment when that bit of money fell out, and we had to kind of go to Rich and the guys and say, "Look, we've got no money to make this now." And thankfully, it was almost that we had this script that was kind of worked up to a decent enough point that kind of sold, that kind of got, because basically if Rich didn't say yes, the whole thing wouldn't have happened, essentially. I don't think so. So the fact that your first step is to get an actor you really like to like the script. So the fact that Rich was like, yeah, I was like, oh, right, I've got over that hurdle. So then we can do the next bit. So, and if I hadn't have put, the effort into the script and giving it to Aaron and got the feedback and Rami and blah blah blah, and then before I sent it to you, worked it again and again. So it's almost like a lesson for anyone doing this kind of thing, low budget indie filmmaking, is just work and work and work the script before you send it to your actors. And because what could have happened is we could have had all the money in the world and would have gone forward and maybe made a script 3 drafts ago, but the fact that we had a bit of time and then money fell out and we had to work it again, it was just that idea of, at one point all we had was the script. We didn't have anything else. So thankfully you guys, Rich and Jonathan, liked it and found it funny, and if that hadn't happened, then we wouldn't have had anything.
Well, it was a sort of lovely alchemy, that previous guy dropping out and then Jonathan turning up and then it really clicking, because we had a Zoom call with the other guy. It was quite nice, but I was meant to be the gruff brother, and this guy in real life was gruffer than me. I was like, I'm gonna have to outgruff this dude.
Yeah.
And so that worked out. And then you very stoically, I mean, bless you. It was a bit shitty to get, some big, horrible, unexpected tax bill or whatever, and just sort of, fist you in the anus, I think is the phrase, isn't it? And then you were like, well, I think you had the cottages booked anyway. You were like, well, I'm gonna have to go. You couldn't get out of that. You were like, well, I'm gonna go. I think I answered you before you said this, but or half of you were saying this, but so I'm gonna go up there anyway. I guess we're just gonna try and film something. And I think I was going, yes, no, you had me at cottage. You had me at cottaging. No, sorry, weak joke. Sorry.
Essentially, that's what it was. We had the cottage. I was either gonna lose the cottage and the money that I'd spent on it, or I was going to go there and have a holiday with my family on our own, or we were going to shoot something, and all we could offer you was that cottage and food for a week, and so thankfully you said yes. By God, thank you that you did that, because now we're kind of 70% down the road of having a feature film made.
Yeah, and so for you, in the process of making a feature film, if I can ask you, obviously getting this date in the calendar in these cottages and paying actual money, that's starting to commit to this thing. Like there's no going back now, and that's quite serious. And I've personally never gotten to anywhere near that stage, so that's really puts the wind up you. You've got to get things done, and when things started falling apart a bit, and you're like, God, what do I do? That's why it feels like slightly more magical, that the time we had up there was just bloody lovely, and making it, I haven't seen it yet, obviously, but I hope it's marvelous.
It was. I mean, that's the idea, was that if I book this thing, then it has to happen. And then it wasn't until maybe like a week or two before, then things happened, like the money went, and then we lost the other actor, and I was like, well, maybe maybe I was wrong. Maybe booking the thing and it still can't happen, but it did, and I'm very thankful.
What you guys may not realize is that Mark and I have been kind of following a sort of, how would you describe it, Mark? Kind of chaos magic kind of recipes for making films.
Yeah, which is kind of the ethos of this whole podcast, is this kind of the
idea being that nothing will happen unless you just do it, and that sometimes the only way for it to happen is for you to literally make a complete leap of faith. You may well die as a result. You may fall off a cliff and end up in the drink, and oh, sorry, the sharks have got you. But you in a way know that if you don't, you kind of die a slow death anyway, because you just kind of don't go anywhere. So in some senses, it's the idea of, give yourself something impossible to do, and then just find the bloody way of making that thing happen. So, very inspired by, the likes of Ken Campbell and the KLF, and the likes of people who kind of pluck things seemingly impossible and heroic, that you think, wow, they did that. And you don't, I think, as a result, realize the immense sort of risk and challenge that goes into all of that stuff, because all you see is the result. You see, wow, Ken Campbell did this, the KLF did this, or people who do that. So yeah, in some ways, you've been part of a strange experiment. It's so exciting that it sounds to have been a successful one. And also, I'm so proud.
That experiment was also placed firmly in a pandemic, which I think is another aspect of this, is that anyone at any point could have just gone down with COVID. And as it was at the end, I think a couple of people did get COVID.
Yeah.
But I mean, if any of us had gone down with COVID on day 1 or 2, then we're not getting up that hill.
No.
You know, so the sort of fragility
my God,
this risk as well is very pronounced, because we're all hugger-mugger in that cottage, aren't we? We're all staying together in the cottage. So
well, it was the way the whole production was built was that there was no spare parts, so if anyone fell away, the whole kind of thing, House of Cards, would have come down. Like we couldn't spare anyone. So this was my panic, but the whole way, like leading up to the shoot, anyone could have dropped out. And and even before that, it's like I could have lost, well, we did lose one actor to a big, I don't know, I think he went to a TV production or something that you can't compete with. When you're an indie production on no money, you can't compete with even a small TV or film productions, because you've got nothing to offer except for your script. And that's the kind of anxiety you've got when you're kind of, you know, I got Rich and involved very early on, but I was always anxious because I was like, if something comes along, Rich is going to have to say yes to. If Steven Spielberg calls up and goes, right, Hollywood, March, Rich can't say, I'm sorry, I'm going to a cottage for no money. But he's promised me lovely food. So sorry, Steven. Sorry, Mr. Spielberg. It's not going to happen. He's going to have to take the job. So you've kind of got no dog in the fight, really. You've got to just kind of hope for the best. And I did. And luckily, it kind of came through for us. So.
Well, actually, Ariana Grande did call me up and say, will you come around mine and just massage my shoulders? And maybe a glass of wine or two. And I was like, can't. I've got to go to the Lake District. So
I'm very, very busy. I appreciate that, Rich. I appreciate it.
Never wait for permission. You just have to start.
Mark and I have been following, how would you describe it, Mark? Chaos magic? Chaos magic? Chaos magic?
So, Rich, I want to talk to you about. People might know you from a couple of Ben Wheatley films. You've been in. I know it's a favourite of mine and Aaron's, A Field in England, which is a marvellous movie.
Love it.
Sightseers, obviously. Happy New Year's.
Happy New Year, Colin Burstead, yeah. Yeah.
How did you meet Ben Wheatley, and how did that whole thing start? How did that start?
Well, part of this sketch, because we were all doing sketch comedy, as we were saying before, how I previously knew Jonathan. And part of all of that, Steve Oram and Alice Lowe, who wrote Sightseers, 5 years before, they'd made a short, a 10-minute sort of early version based on this idea, which I did, which was directed by Paul King, who has gone on to do Paddington. So very well. He's lovely. So then 5 years later, this thing came up, and I had to audition for that part, so luckily they remembered me, and I auditioned for that part. And apparently, as the reels were coming in, Ben Wheatley just looked over someone's shoulder and went, yeah, that guy, yeah, he's good, let's get him. But I don't know the slim to, I don't know what the gods were thinking that day, or whether maybe he subconsciously had seen the trailer and hadn't realised he's picking me for that reason. But for some reason, thank God, I got the part after the audition. And so that's how it started. And then I was sort of part of his squad, then I got a call a couple of years later going, what are you doing in September? I don't know, that's a teasing question. Like, do you want to be in a film? So that was A Field in England. And then a couple of years after that, Happy New Year, Colin Burstead. So I got, absolutely lovely. And with Sightseers, we've got to go to the Cannes Film Festival. So
amazing.
That was very shy. We got to be near really big yachts. and near rich people, which is they did smell nice.
What was Field in England like as an experience and as a production? Because obviously as a film, it's kind of a fairly small ensemble cast. It's very contained in its kind of structure. You're in a field, but how was that an experience production wise?
Yeah, that was a sort of lowish budget one as well, and we were all sort of mucking in together. It was sort of fairly low budget locally, and we were very much became a tight little family. And although Peter Ferdinando, he's lovely, but he's quite a method actor, and at times that was one.
Remember we spoke about him. I've worked with him on a project before, and he stayed in character for the entire 6 weeks of the project.
I know he is an actor, but one day we had to have a fight in the afternoon in the thing, and I had to do some sort of slightly tender, nice scene. But he was such a character actor. He's getting ready. He kept actually trying to push me around and fight me and push me over because he was in character, and it became a little bit annoying. I love him dearly. We're really good friends. But, you know, at the stage, people come up to me and go, "You all right? Do you want us to have a word with him?" I was like, "No, it's okay, but it's a little bit methody, you know." That was interesting, you know. But he was lovely, you know. There were all these different types. And then Michael Smiley, you know, plays a sort of, you know, spoiler alert, sort of devilish type character. And he didn't arrive. We filmed it chronologically, so in the film he doesn't arrive till later. And then I'd never heard of him because I'm a bit ignorant. And people are like, "Michael Smiley's coming, Michael Smiley's coming, Michael Smiley's coming." And it was like, "Oh my God, this guy, who's this guy?" And I was like, "He's coming because he's amazing. I love him, he's the devil." And then he came, and he's just such a larger than life character. And then after a couple of days of knowing him, he was like, "Richard, I think I'm starting to fall in love with you." And I was like, God. It was so lovely to get the thumbs up from the amazing Michael Smiley, you know. But anyway, yeah, it was a low budget thing, but mucking in together, and we were very much a tight family and all doing it together. And, you know, well, there had been a plan. Sorry, me. They're bloody gin. I'm going to have another after this. Shut up. But there was an original plan to go a bit method, like the crew and the cast were all going to live in tents in the field. That was a plan for a while, but thankfully they decided to put us up in a hotel around the corner.
So they weren't going to force feed you magic mushrooms then for the whole thing.
No, we did try and find some, but it was the wrong season. It kind of in September.
We had our own tripping scene, didn't we, in Old Man? That was quite interesting to shoot. was that
great fun?
That was the Saturday. It was quite a late night, that one. I do remember. Sorry, that was a long day. That was the Saturday. I think that was the Saturday night.
I haven't heard about this. I don't remember this in the script.
There's now a scene where they do a tab of acid on the last night of their time at the cottage, and that was quite fun. That was a lovely scene to shoot.
That was great fun. And because we didn't actually have any acid with us, we started to get a little bit
low budget films.
Yeah,
can't afford acid. Is that it? Well, 20 years ago when I had nothing.
I was also at that stage, wasn't it, of the shoot where it was like, let's get as much as we can because time is against us. So I think that was a night that we stayed up pretty late. And I think that just added to it all, really, because there was a sort of like mania to the whole thing at that point. It was like, we're running out of time. It's late. It's cold. We projected the watermill onto the cliff face.
Oh my God. That was fantastic. Yeah.
Over the landscape, and everything just felt pretty great, to be honest. I mean, I don't know what that's going to look like. I really enjoyed that evening. It's huge fun.
Yeah, I haven't cut anything or looked at that much yet. But Aaron, basically what happened, we had this mill that we were in. It turns out that the copper mine that we were in has this big wheel that's a recreation of 100-year-old. He's basically built it 10, 20 years ago. And it's a recreation of what was there 100 years ago. And it works. It spins. I didn't know it went round. But he goes, "Oh, yeah." The guy was like, "Oh, yeah, I'll turn it on for you if you like. I'll come back and turn it on for you." So we're like, "Brilliant. Yeah, can you turn it on Saturday night at about this time?" He came back, turned it on, and Rami just got this big old light, this lamp, and just shone through it. And it just projected onto the mountain behind us, this big spinning wheel. And we were like, oh my God, this looks fucking amazing. And then we just shot that, and we just had you guys tripping your balls off. Obviously not really, but just maybe the bottle of red wine. That was it. But your finest acting work, of course.
Well, John, did you say you hadn't done acid?
No, I never have. I'm far too mentally fragile to try anything.
You're terribly convincing.
It was very good, yeah.
Brilliant. Yeah, I have to say, I went to the cinema. I don't know if this is allowed in this podcast to talk about.
You can do all you want. This is a safe space. This is a safe
space, man.
Thank you. I went to cinema this weekend, which is a great event because it obviously has been something that hasn't happened a lot in the last few years. And I went to see The Unbearable Weight of Massive Talent. This Cage film.
Yeah.
The most postmodern of postmodern. Nick Cage.
Yeah.
Playing
very very entertaining, but there's a very entertaining acid trip scene in it that's very funny, and that's all I'll say, because I think the film's worth watching. I think
I need to see it.
I think you'll
it's really done well. It's really done well, so I'm kind of I'd love to see that, because I think A Field in England was a great example of that, actually, of like people losing it in a field. And yeah, I've seen it done really badly as well. So I look forward to seeing that, because it's I
want to see
not
that
an easy one to pull off.
Yeah.
Our approach to our acid trip scene was the fact that our film is almost completely handheld, so that when the brothers do acid, the film suddenly becomes locked off, and we're on tripod and on rails and on dollies for the first time in the whole film. So actually, rather than going that kind of like, whoa, it has handheld and fisheye, and it actually suddenly becomes more focused in and stable, and in some way static. It's not static because we've got this wheel moving around, which we're told can't move, but suddenly comes alive. And we have this feeling that the whole kind of place is kind of coming alive. Like Jonathan, your character, Drew, what do you say? It's like the great wheel is it's all the place is coming back to life. So we have this feeling that it's all kind of turning on again, and time is kind of going backwards. Rami had these kind of fancy old kind of antique kind of lenses that had this kind of control that kind of smeared the outside a little bit. So we had a manual control on that, so I could kind of twist as we were shooting you guys. I had a hand control which could basically fog, almost like I do like a blur of the exterior of the frame, so we can kind of blur things. There's this old lens that Rami had found that he borrowed off someone, which was quite nice for that. It was a very late night, so thank you for your hard work on that. But
it really was bloody late, folks. bloody freezing, but the booze really helped.
It did help.
We can call that professional boozing, right?
It was professional boozing.
You were method acting. You were trying to get into an intoxicated, heightened state. But I mean, you know, it's better than actually taking acid on set.
It's so beautiful. You're making a movie, man. Make it with love. I'm so happy. Giant man. We're making a movie. We're making a movie with love. This is amazing. Come together, everybody. Bring out your family and all your children, man. It's gonna be beautiful.
So what about stage 2? What about the next series of shoots? What's the plan? What's the kind of, you know, where's it going to be? When's it going to be? What's the kind of next phase?
The next stage is essentially we need to raise some money to shoot our London shoots. In a way, we've done the hardest part already. We've done the tough stuff that we've gone very far from our home, and we've kind of managed to hold up in for a week and get a big portion of the film done. So the next stuff is all London based. So logistically, technically, should be a lot easier to do. It's just raising the money to do it, basically. So we get the right kit, we get the, you know, maybe Rami we get Rami's some assistance. Poor Rami, we nearly killed him. He was such a workhorse.
God, yeah.
I mean, it was. I mean, for a film that is that handheld, and for him to have no camera assistance, focus pullers, or anything, he really had to put in some serious shift. So for the next portion, I'd like to get Rami at least somebody to help him, some kind of camera team or camera assistants. But yeah, it's basically raising the money for the final portion. You know, I'd like to definitely have it in the can before the end of the year, and take it from there. Yeah.
None of you guys are allowed to get the Spielberg job between then and now. So just,
well, I mean, if you want to get uber famous between now and then, that would help the film.
But if I go out with Ariana Grande, would that help?
That would help.
Okay.
So you'll be doing it for a good cause.
He just needs to tweet the kind of fundraisers info out there, and then
hashtag Ariana Grande. You know,
on acid up the top of a mountain, up the top of an old man.
Oh, yeah. I'm gonna have to stop pestering her now.
You should definitely.
And Rich, obviously, I haven't talked to you about this, and I've been dying to talk to you about it for ages and ages. You have been a player in the Star Wars universe, of course, haven't you?
Oh yeah.
Can I talk to you? Can I talk to you about this? Because
God, yes.
I'm actually very excited to talk to you about this. You are very sufficient at flying an X-wing.
I am. I'm in Red Squadron, actually. Same.
What was it like? What is it like? I'm going to geek out on you now. What's it like to be in a Star Wars film?
It's fucking really cool. And an X-wing pilot as well in Red Squadron, which is Luke Skywalker's squadron. I was Red 12. I didn't quite get a name, but I flew an X-wing. Beforehand, you know, everyone dreams of being in Star Wars, and I was like, I'd be happy to just be in an explosion, just flying past the screen, going as I got blown up. But then I got to be in flying actual X-wing, and gosh, it was gorgeous. And then you go on the set. I think it was in Pinewood, and there's the back half of an X-wing. There, you're sat there, and they cut the nose off so that they can have the camera at you. But I sat in, and there's a gear stick, and looked around. There's an R2 unit, and I was like,
oh, amazing.
And there's buttons. Like, can I press? And then during the shoot, it's like, just as we're flying in, can I? I'm looking around. Can I press a button? Because I played the games, and you can put your shields forward or backwards, put a high percentage forward or backwards. And I was like, can I press this button? And suddenly this, geek that works there ran around with this big fucking button, went, no, you can't press that one because it's the wrong one. You have to press that one. I was like, oh, that's so cool. That's yeah. But they knew it because they knew that people would be watching. They know exactly what to press.
Oh, really?
And I was in the reshoot. They did some reshoots, so I thought the deal was done. And then I got a phone call from my agent going, Richard, do you want to be an X-wing pilot? I was like, yeah. Okay, I'll call you back. What? But then she came back. Yeah, you've been offered an X-wing pilot, and apparently in the full shoots they had these them set up with a machine, a gimbal, because to shake all about and to look like you're in a battle and stuff. But so by the time they came to the reshoots, I think they had a little less money. So these things are quite high. And I just had, just below the camera, got two burly girls like this, just by my knees, just going like that, just shaking it, So it really is smoke and mirrors. But that's not what I tell kids. If kids ask me, I go, oh, it's a great spaceship. It's got such a lovely turning court. I love the lasers. We only had 4 hours of suborbit flight training before we actually had to go and film, but it was enough. I can't tell you how nice a spaceship is. Yeah, and like it's really nice. Yeah. Anyway,
are you a Star Wars baby? When you were a kid, were you into Star Wars and all?
Oh gosh, absolutely, yes. It's just it's amazing. Yeah, to be in but I want more. Because I was in Rogue One, and then I heard there was going to be Rogue Squadron. I was like, oh, they're cool. They didn't.
Oh man!
Well, we weirdly know the director of Rogue One, don't we, Mark?
We do, yeah.
We used to work with Gareth.
Gareth Edwards, yeah.
Who was in a way one of the original DIY filmmakers, because he managed to make quite complex movies, pretty much him in his bedroom and his computer, before anybody was doing that kind of thing. Both me and Mark come from a kind of I suppose, sort of design, animation, kind of promo kind of world. And Gareth was one of those guys that turned up. He was the first person we knew who could turn up, and he had a laptop that he would do all of his work on. And we were like, man, he's like knocking out this stuff, and he did it all on his laptop. And then obviously our careers went zooming off into space, and Gareth kind of had a fair to middling kind of upgrade by becoming, he did Monsters, then he did kind of Star Wars. But in loads of ways, he's one of those original kind of DIY filmmakers, because Monsters was very much a DIY filmmaking.
Wow.
And he took a couple of actors out to a kind of a place post hurricane and did Monsters, and he did all the effects for it. And he has certainly got those DIY chops. But so there we go. Yeah.
He was. I always remember him, like when we were still in contact, he was saying things like he somehow got on the pitch list in Soho. There was a Horizon documentary series all about the universe, and what they wanted was like 100 effect shots. It was like a couple of episodes all about the universe and stars and black holes and stuff. But he was basically doing it all on his own. But he was pitching against the big post houses like Red, but he was undercutting them by tens of thousands of pounds because it was just him doing it on his own. But for some reason, he pitched to Horizon and he said, look, I could do this. I could do the whole series for 25 grand. And he was pitching against, like, say, Red Post, who were doing it for like
10 times the amount,
like 80 grand or something. Yeah. Or 10 times the amount.
Bloody hell, wow.
And he got the job, but he had to do it in a month. He had to do like 100 effect shots in a month. And he said he just slept in a sleeping bag under his desk but he knew at the end of the month he was going to get paid 25 grand. But he just didn't sleep. He just was just there, just doing it all for a month. And then he did that so well, they went, right, he got another job doing another big kind of, it was the Aztecs, the thing about the Aztecs for the History Channel. And it was all kind of Lord of the Rings, like hundreds of people running over the mountains. He just figured out how to do it and did it all himself.
It was him on a green screen with different hats.
Oh no, but what it was the last time I hung out with him, he had this kind of office somewhere in East London, and it was him and a bunch of lads in this little studio, and in the corner they just had a bit of green screen, and he was doing a documentary series about the 7 industrial wonders of the world. So the one that I went in and saw them doing was Brunel's Great Ship, and there's a shot of Brunel's Great Ship pulling away out of the harbour. And there's just hundreds of people in kind of old Victorian clothing just waving off and it's an amazing shot, but it's only done from, I think there's about one photograph of that ship, and he used that photograph and it's cut out. And then the rest of it is just him and the 2 other guys in his studio dressed in different dresses or top hats, waving, or dressed as schoolboys. And they had a big dressing up box and just filmed themselves waving flags. And it's just, they comped themselves in hundreds and hundreds of times, and he just did it in a completely DIY fashion, low budget, but just cobbled it together. And his thing was always, look, big companies throw millions at this kind of stuff, but if you just think about it, and if you just think about what you need to make it work, it's actually not that complicated, and you can do it for cheap, and you can do it simply. And it was quite an inspiration, really, to see him do stuff like that.
That's amazing. It's quite heartening to know that it's not inaccessible. That if you think about it cleverly, you can do it. I've become very good friends with a guy called Gavin Rothery over the years, who was one of the 4 guys that made the film Moon. And they all wrote it together. But Gavin was then primarily responsible for the visual effects. And they'd asked loads of, digital effects companies how much they were charging, which is way beyond their budget. So due to that limitation, he decided, I think that helped them to decide to make real models.
Yeah.
And just slow motion. And that was amazing. People loved that, when they watched the film. It was like really refreshing to see these really amazing models. And so he subsequently, I did a short film with him 2 years after that, where he's just so industrious, and we got this derelicts and buildings, and he got green screens, and he got loads of cars from a tip and loads of students to muck them up, and then he would have this green screen. And then when you see the film, it's just astonishing that he added this, it's a post-apocalyptic thing, and you're just gobsmacked at the things that he's done sort of in his bedroom kind of thing, but with a mouse and just getting things together. It's why I call you guys the grown-ups, because you just don't know how you pull these things together and have the wherewithal to just keep pushing. It's phenomenal.
Well, I can't wait to shoot with you guys again, and I hope it's going to be very soon. And I can't wait to show you guys some bits as well. So,
yeah,
part of drumming up money for the next part of the film will mean that I need to cut some test scenes together and have some things to kind of entice people into maybe helping us with some funding. So you'll be seeing some bits very soon, I'm sure.
Right, well, that'd be exciting.
Yeah, great.
And how many days do you think we've got left to shoot?
I reckon we could probably get it done in almost the same amount we've done. So another 6-7 days, maybe less, for 5 or 6 days, we could probably have the film done.
That film in England and that was just one location, as it were. It was, I think, 12-13 days. So
was it? Yeah.
In good company.
Yeah.
Oh, mate. Well, thank you guys for coming on DIY Cinema Cult. It's been lovely to have you on.
Thank you for having me.
Thank you very much for having me.
And hopefully we can have you back on when the film is a real thing in the real world and exists for people to see.
Well, it is a real thing in the real world, but yeah, people can't see it yet. But it's a real thing in the real world.
It's a real thing in our world. I mean, it's a real thing in our world.
Not so long ago, it wasn't a real thing. This is what it's all about, isn't it? From your imagination, Mark's imagination, and you guys' hard work and graft, camaraderie and can-do attitude, a thing has been made in the world, and it's going to delight people, and we're kind of so excited to see how the rest of it all develops. So can't wait. I might even turn up and be the honorary knob. Next time there is a I'll just stand there at the back going, "It's me, I'm the knob."
But you can get away with it. You're a black belt in Tai Chi, aren't you?
There's no black belts in that, but
he's so self-effacing. We met in the pub, and I was like, "Oh, Tai Chi. Oh, it takes about 6 years before you can smash anyone's face in, isn't it?" And he went, so I was like, "How long have you been doing it?" And they were like, 13 years. Something like that. Okay. I'm not calling him a knob.
I'll just turn up with the acid that Jonathan won't take. So
more for everyone else, and of course I can drive you all home. So
because he's trained.
Brands Hatch.
Keyed up and knocked out the park.
And then right at the end, Ariana Grande will take us up to there we go.
We'll live forever. Good.
Wow, sounding very enticing. Fabulous stuff.
Oh, guys, thank you so much. And love you all. Sweet dreams. Thank you for coming on.
Thank you for having us. Lovely to see you all again.
And, DIY forever.
A DIY forever. And I'm probably going to go and have another maybe sneaky gin before bed.
Yeah.
So will I. They're really good, aren't they?
Cheers, everyone. Cheers, everyone.
Cheers.
So there we go, episode 27 of DIY Cinema Cult. What a lovely episode it was, with our stars, Richard Glover and Jonathan Broke, and what lovely men they are too. Yes, indeed. Well, our Kickstarter campaign for The Old Man is still very, very much alive, and it is live until the 2nd of October. So please go on to kickstarter.com, search for The Old Man, or click the direct link in the show notes of this episode and see how you can get involved with our film today. You can have a direct influence and be personally responsible for bringing this feature film to life, to the big screen for everyone to see. And don't forget, we are still releasing an episode of DIY Cinema Cult every week of our Kickstarter campaign. So tune in next Monday for episode 28, in which we will be talking to Rami Batoldi, our director of photography, on The Old Man. Keep dropping in on our Facebook pages too. You would have seen some of our behind the scenes films, our little mini docs about the making of The Old Man that have been popping up over the course of the last couple of weeks. I hope you've been enjoying them. They're a lot of fun to make, and we have more to come, so do keep an eye out for those. Anyway, thank you so much for all your love and support so far in this campaign. We have until the 2nd of October. Let's get this film made. You're all absolutely bloody brilliant. All right, next time. Follow us on Twitter at DIY Cinema Cult, or on Instagram we are DIY_cinema_cult. Seek out the DIY Cinema Cult group on Facebook, or why not email us at DIYcinemacult@gmail.com.